Welcome to Lecture Online, and now let's ask the big question, why do we study astronomy in the first place? Many of us never take a single astronomy class and will really never know much about astronomy in general. We might hear a little bit about the news, we might get some basic information from our other classes, but in the end, is there any reason why we should study astronomy? Well, it turns out that astronomy answers some very interesting questions. Astronomy is kind of what we call adventure for the mind, because we can travel out there. Actually, the Earth, as big as it is a very tiny speck in the middle of the universe. And to travel anywhere beyond the confines of the Earth is almost impossible. I'm sure as technology advances, hundreds and thousands of years from now, people will indeed be able to travel perhaps throughout our solar system. But even traveling to the next nearest star may be a permanent impossibility. So for us to learn about the universe, we have to observe it with the tools that we have at hand. Telescopes, radio telescopes, and knowing the foundations of science like physics and chemistry and so forth and biology to understand how the universe is put together, how it works, where everything comes from and so forth. Astronomy does answer some very interesting questions. It does give us some insight into what matter is, what the solar system is, what the galaxy is, and what the entire universe is, and where it all came from. How did it come about? Where did it start? How did it start? Astronomy answers a lot of these questions. How are stars formed? Where does light come from? Where did the atoms in our body come from? Some very basic questions, and yes, we can go through our entire life and never know the answers to any of these questions and be perfectly happy and have perfectly productive lives. However, in a way, astronomy and the science behind it, learning about that, in a way enriches our lives. It enriches our lives because it enables us to look at things in a very different way. Sometimes we get too stovepiped into thinking that what happened on the Earth is the only important thing in the universe. But it turns out that we are intimately connected to the universe in so many different ways, and understanding that connection quite often gives us a different perspective of life, the Earth, and the universe as a whole. And so I think it's an adventure well worth traveling through. It's an adventure that enables us to really get a feel of where we come from, where the atoms in our body come from, where the universe came from, and what it all means and what it all does. Of course, what it all means, that's probably up to the imagination of the individual itself, but after you learn the information, after you discover the amazing things that are out there in the universe, you tend to have a different perspective on life. And that's well worth experiencing. And therefore, I would advise everybody, if you have an opportunity to take an astronomy class somewhere, I'd say go for it. It's well worth your time, and you'll be glad that you did. And that's why we study astronomy.